Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You made it to episode 748. You got your host, DanK, and we have a special guest. You notice the two specials there. Anthony Taylor. He is the co-founder of the Compassionate Oregon, and also the legislative director.
That's correct. Thanks for having me, Dan.
Yes, thank you. And I'll talk about medical marijuana and how badly the patients have been beat up, and so Anthony Taylor's our hero. He is our guy with the sword and the shield is trying to protect us, so fight him off. But we'll get that in a minute. Got some quick announcements. I got three of them, and Anthony had one, and I'm going to mention the other two real quick. January 30th for the upcoming...
Yes, our upcoming pay-per-view event featuring our advisory board member, Michael Kravitz, and it's an interview on the future of medical cannabis after the rescheduling of cannabis by the United Nations.
Excellent. And Michael Kravitz is really, that is going to be worth watching. Michael's been in for many years, dedication comparable to Anthony, actually, but it really helped out with the patients, with the veterans, so looking forward to that. So that's on January 30th. And you can always call the number on the screen and get a hold of me here, and then more information on that. Also, the two hemp events that I wanted to talk about real quickly. The U.S. Hemp Business Association is having a viral event called Building Our Future Together. It's on January 30th from 11 a.m. till 5 p.m. And then on the February 9th through the 10th, the National Hemp Symposium will be on. That's a virtual conference. Will include a diverse program with a broad focus on both what the industry has accomplished to date and what lies ahead. Major U.S. corporations participating in international supply chains across the sectors will join us to express their views on the science and research and development needs for the thousands of hemp-based sustainable products that could displace sustainable fossil fuel and other water-intensive source materials currently in use. So, registration fee is $325. Just a little steep, but good information. So that's our announcement. So anyway, Anthony is here to talk, and we are here to talk about cannabis in general
and what's coming up in the session.
Yes, especially that. Yes.
Well, thanks for having me again, and thank you all in the Lane County area for your support over the years of cannabis. Today is Martin Luther King's birthday celebration, and I just want to put in a plug for him and encourage us all to remember that he got to where he was with no violence, and we should follow that advice and that example for always. So. What I was looking forward to discussing with you, Dan, and the rest of the viewing audience is what's coming up in the session this time around. The 2021 legislative session starts tomorrow, technically. It began actually last Monday with the first reading of bills on the chamber floors for all bills that were pre-session filed. And to date, there are about 18 of those bills. Some of them are duplicates introduced in both the House and the Senate. And I would just like to go over a couple of those, if I may. There is one, speaking of veterans, sponsored by Senator Riley, who is also a U.S. Air Force veteran himself. But this bill would waive fees for obtaining a card for veterans with total disability rating of at least 50% as a result of injury or illness that happened while they were active military and who had an honorable discharge, or other than, honorable discharge. So that's a good one. That, right now the fees for a veteran card is only $20. So this would waive it entirely. And right now, with 100% service-related disability, a veteran doesn't have to keep going back to the doctor. We would like to get that for everyone. If you've got a lifetime condition or a permanent disability of any kind, you shouldn't have to keep going back for a card.
No, you shouldn't have to be going in yearly if you're not going to get any better. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit more on one of the bills that hasn't been introduced yet, but will be coming up. There are some bills that require the OHA and the OLCC to study packaging, for instance, related to environment. So taking a look at the amount of plastic that's being used by the cannabis industry. Reporting back to the legislature, there's a bill that by our own Senator Przansky here that would direct the OHA to study the medical marijuana registry identification card holders. The Oregon Retailers of Cannabis Association is asking for a couple of changes. There's another bill that would require OHA and OLCC to study just cannabis in general. There is also one that, bear with me here, there's two bills, one in the Senate and one in the House, that enacts an express sunset for the exemption for patients from taxes when they go to make a purchase. Apparently there's some issue around it, but this would sunset this exemption in January of 2028, 5, 6, 7 years from now. That's about all it says in the bill. It's not a very big bill. So we're going to pay attention to that. And then there is one other bill that we're paying attention to, and that is the OLCC is requesting a name change to the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission, and Compassionate Oregon is urging our members and anyone that supports patients to oppose that change. This change was discussed back in 2015 when everybody wanted to change it to the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Control Commission, and the OLCC themselves were not very warm to the idea, so it didn't happen, but it's back again. And the reason we would encourage people to oppose this is it kind of puts the OLCC, as it exists now, in charge of cannabis in the state. They would now be the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission. Well, we already have a cannabis commission, the Oregon Cannabis Commission. And so as they tried last session to take away or to take the medical growers growing for multiple patients into OLCC, they're not going to try that this year, but they're going to try and change the name, which basically takes over control of cannabis in Oregon except for hemp. So we don't want that. We want the medical to stay separate, and we really don't want the Liquor Control Commission to be having anything to do with medical cannabis, and we think this name change implies that they will. And so somebody looking to find out about cannabis goes through, a search, and they come up on the Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission, they're going to go to them to ask questions rather than the Oregon Cannabis Commission or the Oregon Health Authority. So we will have some action alerts on this bill on our website and our Facebook page, so please watch those sites for future information. So also working in the legislature this session, there's three bills that haven't been introduced yet. One is the Cannabis Equity Act, which makes the industry and the state pay attention to equity for the BIPOC community, and make sure that people are getting a fair chance at licensing and that they're not being harassed because they're a minority, or just putting better protections in. It doesn't do much for the cannabis patients, although it does require that the state fund the OMMP from the tax revenues, not patient fees. And so we're looking forward to that being introduced. It's a big, comprehensive bill, creating a cannabis equity board that would oversee basically the state when it comes to marijuana industry. So we're looking forward to that. There's also a bill that would overturn the outdoor cultivation bans in cities like Medford and Grants Pass and prevent any of those from happening again. And then finally, there's a draft for a medical cannabis only bill, which will really it has a lot of substantive changes. So, for instance, it requires the OHA to revamp their card issuing program and the way they number things and how often you have to renew and under what conditions you have to renew and how many times you have to submit your driver's license, you know, as identification. If you've been on the that should be a one-time thing. You should get a permanent number. You know, lifetime conditions should have a one card, and it's really important, the card stuff, for the growers with multiple patients, because if you've got 8 patients, you will have 8 different cards and 8 different numbers, and you got to keep track of all of that, make sure they've renewed when they're supposed to, and then keep track of all of it in metric, and it can just be a nightmare. So we're trying to do that. We're just trying to tighten some things up, try and get rid of some roadblocks that prevent cannabis patients from fair housing, fair employment, fair healthcare choices. So we're looking forward to the Zoomed legislative session this time around. Not sure how that's all going to play out, but I've already had several meetings with representatives and other people in the building via Zoom, and it seems to work pretty well. You're not going to take up any more time than you would if you were sitting there meeting with them. Right. But at the same time, you can't corner them in the back stairwell, or get together with your fellow colleagues in the room after a hearing, go, what the heck just happened in there? So that about sums it up for the legislative review, and as I said, keep watching the spaces, compassionateoregon.org and our Facebook page for further updates and action alerts. Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate the opportunity to...
Yeah, you bet. Well, it's so frustrating. I've been to so many hearings in Salem, and I know nothing even compared to how many you've been gone, but it's been so frustrating because we've gone to so many hearings in Salem, and it was all just a dog and pony show, basically. We're just sitting there talking, and they weren't listening. I've been so frustrated over the years. But anyway, let's hope that things will get better, and I appreciate you sitting there still slugging away at it.
Sure, absolutely.
Anyway, so I remember Madeline Martinez said years ago, I want legalization, but I don't want it on the backs of patients. And so I saw her, the last time I saw her in the legislative committee meeting, and I said, by the way, and I mentioned that to her, and she said, oh, it's the grower's fault. They're too greedy. Yeah, and I just thought, oh my gosh, but then that's one of my many Madeline stories. So anyway, we're getting close to the first segment here, and so I wanted to be sure and remind everybody that I was talking about these legislative things that are coming up, and especially the Compassion Oregon on January 30th. That is something that we've got to encourage people to. Hopefully we'll be doing another show yet before then, and we can keep reminding people about that to participate. That's what makes things successful, is participation. So anyway, we're going to wrap this up, and we'll be right back. We'll see you then, and stay tuned. Thank you. Welcome back to the second half of episode 748. You got DanK here and Anthony Taylor, which is a really big deal. Anthony came all the way down from the big city of Portland and being on the show, so I appreciate it so much. And this is incredible information that we don't get down here, so we need to spread it around as much as we can.
Absolutely.
So go ahead and pick it up where we left off. And
well, thanks, Dan, again for having me, and hello to all the folks in the Lane County viewing area. On January 30th, as Dan mentioned earlier, Compassionate Oregon is presenting an interview with Michael Kravitz on the future of medical cannabis. Michael Kravitz has been very active in the medical cannabis arena, and since 1999 has been the executive director of Veterans for Medical Cannabis Access. And through his work, the Veterans Administration has come around on cannabis, on their cannabis policy. Originally, it was really sketchy. Veterans were having a hard time, dealing with the bureaucracy. But through his work in 2005, I want to say, the VA issued a new policy statement, kind of giving everybody a little more comfort level, raising their comfort level to be able to kind of talk with their doctors about it, and not really suffer any consequences if they were actually using cannabis. And then in 2000, I think it was 17 or 18, the VA actually came out with a new directive after the last one had expired, and that does clearly outline that the VA physicians are allowed to have those conversations with their veteran patients, and to allow them to use cannabis without any adverse impact on their health care benefits, or what medicines they may be able to take and things of that nature. And they won't kick you off the program or out of any benefits for positive tests for THC. So I know this is important for a lot of veterans. In Oregon right now we have over 5,000 veterans, or not 5,000 veterans necessarily, but over 5,000 people have gotten their cards because of PTSD. So we want to keep making the paths, keeping the paths for that clear. So during this, Michael Kravitz has also teamed up with other people, and the team they put together has, over the last 10 years or so, been working with the United Nations and the World Health Organization to try and get cannabis rescheduled. And this year they were successful, 2020 actually, they were successful in getting that done. They were working with the UN and with the World Health Organization, and to kind of sum it up, the World Health Organization says, well, we can't really do this, which is consider cannabis a medicine, until the UN clears the way with the single convention treaties on narcotics and those kinds of treaties. And so they switched their efforts with that little piece of information, the World Health Organization's willingness to do this if they have a path forward. They went to the UN, worked with the UN, and all of these meetings and hearings are, available on archives. But they managed to convince the United Nations that they should reschedule cannabis as medicine, not as medicine, but with medicinal value. So the UN has their schedule upside down, so their number 4 is the worst rather than number 1 like we have in the United States. So they removed it from Schedule 4 down to Schedule 3, which is like moving it from Schedule 1 to Schedule 5 in the United States. So what can and will eventually happen is the United Nations will send a letter to all the members, signers of that treaty, and inform them that they may take the necessary steps to, expand their views and policies and statutes, revise their statutes in light of this change. This will eventually allow the World Health Organization to declare cannabis as medicine, and hopefully in the end as an essential medicine. That opens the doors to research, big time. You won't have to worry about getting approval from the DEA. Well, maybe you'll have to get approval, but it surely won't be as hard as it has been. And it also opens the door to one of the things we're trying to do in this bill that we're introducing for medical only, is point our growers, our multiple patient growers, in the right direction to be able to begin providing research cannabis for people that are doing research, like Dr. Sisley and others that have had to rely on the University of Mississippi's cannabis for any kind of research purposes. The DEA did open that door a little bit a couple of years ago, so that's been helpful, but this will really blow the doors off of it, and it really, we're really excited about this event. And one of our other soon-to-be board members and myself will be hosting this, and it'll be an interview followed by a question and answer event. It will be on Zoom. The event is January 30th from noon to 2 via Zoom. Tickets can be purchased through Eventbrite. at $15 each. And we look forward to everybody coming and giving a listen. Michael Kravitz, when you're working on the international level to change cannabis policy, you're a hero.
Oh yeah, definitely. And you have some T-shirts for this too, don't you?
We do have, yes, thank you for reminding me. We do have some T-shirts. They are what we call the USA Legalization T-Shirt. It's kind of like a concert T-shirt. Has all the states that have legalized medically or both. And we will have those are available on our website right now. Our web page for that particular item, though, is under construction as we're readjusting how we deal with it, and getting it to our people that order it a lot quicker. And we're really looking forward to that T-shirt taking off, and everybody's going to want to get one, and we'll have hoodies and cups and all that sort of stuff.
Definitely. I meant to get one, and then I didn't get around to it, but yeah.
Well, and you know, there still are a few of those available, and the interesting thing about them is they are now a collector's item because there were 2 mistakes on it, and now we had to, on this year's, we had to add 4 more states, so we're knocking them down one at a time. So the new shirts will be ready by the time we have the event, and you'll be able to just go to our website and order them right there, and they'll be drop shipped right to your home.
That reminds me of Seattle Hemp Fest when your friend of mine, there was one of the crews that they made shirts for, and they misspelled cannabis. It was U.S. instead of I.S. at the end of cannabis, and I've got one of the original ones with the misspelling.
Yeah, right on. Well, those are great collector's items. I remember back in 86 when we had all the legalized home harvest T-shirts and all that sort of stuff. So, or what if it was a felony to grow a rose? So, you know, T-shirts, they get the message out there. So, again, they're available on our website.
And they're printed on both sides.
They are.
I've always said that anytime I ever had any input on a T-shirt, I've always pushed for having something on both sides of the shirt. Because, yeah, a lot of times you got an outer shirt and you can't read it, but there's a lot of times when you don't, and
right.
That's wasted space if you don't have something on it. So
that's right, exactly. So we have our logo all over the front tee. The T-shirts are also available if somebody wants to order them for their company. Just send us your logo, and we'll make sure it happens.
Wow, that's an idea too. Oh, that's an idea.
Yeah,
Cannabis
you can put it on the back, or you can put it over the pocket.
Cannabis TV, that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, they're reasonably priced, but go to the website and take a look, and lots of colors, a couple of different styles, and as I said, we're switching vendors, so, but you can take a look, and you can certainly, you know, have it in mind towards the end of the month when you can actually go to our new store on our webpage.
You bet, and there's a great way to you can support it and get something extra too. So that's
right. All proceeds go to help us do our work in the legislature.
And which is another point. Yeah, income. This is a non-profit organization, so that means they don't have any income to speak of. So that means that they need help from everybody.
That's correct. I would add, though, that we are a 501c4, so your contributions are not tax deductible. But our annual meeting coming up later this month, we're going to discuss creating a C3 so that folks can make contributions, and they'll be deductible, tax deductible. So
excellent. Yeah, well, I was like at Hemp Fest, and the last few years I was able to provide Hemp Fest shirts for all the volunteers, and that was always felt good for me because I always, you know, volunteers, I mean, at least if you could give them something because they're doing all this work, you know. Yeah, we fed them, but still. And a quick note on that, Hemp Fest. You know, the majority of our volunteers were the homeless people.
wow.
The whole time we run that Hemp Fest, the majority of our volunteers were local people living around the parks and on the street. And a lot of those people, we'd never see them again until the next year, and they'd show up again. So we fed them, and they helped us, and it was just an incredible, loving scene.
It's always good to have a good, loyal fan base.
Yep.
Absolutely. So,
Yep.
and that's what we're trying to build. We are restructuring this year our board of directors and adding to our advisory board. So Compassionate Oregon will come into this next session with 4 more board members and about the same more advisory board members.
So what are the qualifications for an advisory board member?
Yeah. Well, there aren't any real requirements, just
okay.
having a
I was
phone.
just curious. Yeah, it's like the studio. You know, I've been a board member on here at the studio multiple times, but when I'm not a board member, I'm on the advisory board.
Right,
So
exactly.
that's why I'm on the advisory board for the studio. But
Well, we find the advisory board allows an opportunity for those people that are really busy doing what they do for cannabis.
Sure.
You know, the opportunity to join us once or twice a year and provide input, or to give us a call, you know, during the year and say, you know what, I was just thinking, maybe we should do this. And so some of the other work that we do is, like right now, we're considering whether or not we're going to file a declaratory judgment to try and remove these bans that are in Medford and Grants Pass. So we're getting our message together so we can put that out, looking for funds. We'll probably do a crowdfunding. We've got about half of the funds we need already. So
yeah, that's really exciting because yes, that was really exciting because I know people have been having a heck of a time down those parts of the country.
Absolutely, to try and put an inside grow site together when you're a low-income person already with not enough room in the house for your family, and now you want to have to dedicate a garage or a room in your house to grow cannabis and spend $5,000 or $6,000 to get it set up, that just doesn't make any sense. So we got to get them overturned so you can do it outside.
Yes, that's great work that needs to be done and take care of. Little pieces at a time. So
Big jigsaw puzzle.
yes, yeah, really. Well, that is exciting. It's been so frustrating over the years to see the patients getting beat up as badly as they have been. But I appreciate everything you're doing and we need to support you guys as much as possible. And again, remember, it's a nonprofit, so that means they need money. So.
Yeah, go to CompassionateOregon.org and go to the donate page and hit the button.
You bet.
We go to our PayPal account and into the bank.
All right. So we're getting close to the end here, so I just want to say thanks again for being on the show, and we're going to have you again real soon.
Thank you.
Soon.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate it.
You bet. Okay, we'll see you then.